median income communities, because they're usually more demanding.
I'm going to ask you a favor.
Yeah.
I know I want you to keep your mask on while you're talking. Take your
Sure.
mask off so
Can I go
everyone can
louder? Is that
understand.
better?
So say that again. Your
Yeah.
ideal customer.
Yeah, so our ideal customer within local government, it's higher median income communities because usually more demanding residents of the government. But specifically to drill down, there's kind of three profiles. There's elected officials, there's city management, and there's communicators. So the more progressive local governments have a communication staff in-house. So our ideal customer is a communicator, but not just a communicator. It turns out not a new person, not a young person, someone who's been there 5 to 10 years, who's already got kind of the default trust of the management to go figure stuff out and make decisions on their own. So to drill down to the very ideal customer, the ones that we see popping up again and again, it's that experienced communicator out of local government with high median income. Others, of course, too, but that's really the replicable one we see.
So I love that. So what makes their customer, how do they identify ideal? And this is a person who has the influence to make a decision. So I want to back up for a second. I love that. That was really good. I want to back up for a second and talk about two different things just to clarify. We have to talk about personas, buyer personas. Yeah.
I think like that red, but oh wait, never mind. You're good.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's blue, right?
It's blue.
All right, cool.
Okay. We talk about buyer personas, and it's a really important thing. So if I am selling to certain people, certain kinds of people, I need to understand that buyer persona. What matters to them, what they value, how they make decisions, these kinds of things. Sometimes when I'm talking about an ideal customer, I'm talking about a persona. This is particularly true when we're talking about business to consumer. It's also true sometimes when we're talking about where we want to start our communication in a company. So we can have an ideal persona with whom we want to start the conversation, but I guarantee that once his conversation begins with that person, other people get involved. So I don't want you to think that there's just one buyer. In his process, there are going to be multiple buyers, but he's targeting a person who has the influence to help him talk to all of the other buyers. So sometimes when I'm talking about an ideal customer, and this can be a little confusing, I'm talking about a kind of company. And within that, there's buyers that we need to define and understand. And sometimes when I'm talking about an ideal customer, I'm talking about a person, because it's not a complex sale and there's only one person that we're actually making the sale to. So if we have a complex business to business sale, meaning it's probably high ticket, it's probably going to take a long time to implement, it's high dollar, there's a lot of people involved, then we're not just going to have, we're going to have companies that are ideal customers, and then we're going to have personas that we need to understand within those companies. Okay, so that was a perfect example of an ideal customer. Tell somebody else, tell me who's your ideal customer. Yeah.
A little side project that I'm working on with my girlfriend is a direct-to-consumer phone case company, right?
Direct-to-consumer phone case company.
Yes,
Okay.
online, but specifically our target audience would be 18 to 25-year-old female, specifically with the designs, and it ties in with a thing to differentiate ourselves. We call it charm. It's, I don't know if you're like the old phones that have a little notch in it, or you can tie anything around it. New phone cases for iPhone specifically don't have it at all.
That, by the way, came out of Japan. And when I moved back, I lived in Japan for like 6 years. When I moved back from Japan, I'm like making phone charms, and I realized we don't have anything to put them on.
Yeah. So we see it increasing in popularity through social media and such. So, you know,
So you're going to be thinking about an ideal customer that's narrower than that, because that age group is a lot of people.
Right.
So what kind of people? So when you think about the charms that you're making, who are you making them for? What kind of 18 to 24-year-olds are they? Are they in high income neighborhoods? Are they in in lower income neighborhoods? Are they on the East Coast, or are they on the West Coast? Are they kids who are doing really good in school? Are they kids that are associating with certain kinds of things? So you need to keep narrowing down, because if you go too broad and people start going into your site and they're like, oh, there's nothing here for me. So you want to narrow it so that when that person hears your story and then they go in and they go, oh, look at all of these, I love all of them, right? So we want to narrow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
What things might you add in there that would help us understand who's ideal for you?
So I would assume a middle class to hiring class, just because right now we're only doing iPhone, and that's not cheap. Let's see. I'd also say impulsive for the consumer. They would see it on their favorite social media influencer or whatever, right?
So prestige, if they're looking at what their social media person is doing, this is about prestige. If they're doing it, I'm gonna do it, right? And then I'm gonna be cool too.
Exactly. So more than that, I guess I have to think about it a little
Keep
bit.
thinking about it, but do you see the direction that we're
Yes.
going? Because the narrower you are, and then you can go, okay, I'm gonna do to these people, now I'm gonna do a real sporty athletic line.
Right.
Right? Okay, now I'm gonna do a real scientific, I don't know, whatever it is, but you, as you start with one group and then think about, okay, who's the next group I want to target?
Mhm.
Keep it small, keep it focused. Okay, so are we comfortable with the concept of ideal customer? Pretty much, okay, because if we don't know who our ideal customer is, we don't know how to make the message resonate, right? And so the more we know, the better it resonates. So that was a great example and I appreciate it. I would love for you to communicate back with me and let's work on that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so first thing is my customer's problem. My customer has a problem. Or they have something they want to achieve, or they have a goal, or they have an idea they want to implement, or they have a really bad problem they need solved. Something is going on with them. And they have words that they use to describe it. When you think about the words that your customer is using, they're saying things like, it's totally stifling growth. We cannot grow if we don't fix this. Or they're saying things like, it doesn't work. It's broken. Every time I try to use it, it doesn't work. Or they're saying things like, it takes too many people to get this process done, or it takes too many hours, or it takes too much computer time. It's resource intensive. They're talking about their problem. So what I would like you to do, and if your customer doesn't have a problem, then they have an idea or something they want to accomplish or something they want to support. For instance, if you were looking for research dollars, right? So you would be selling. So what kinds of things, what kinds of things does your ideal donator care about? What kinds of things are they saying? So let's do this again. Let's see, do I have what words do your customers use? Okay. There's another pad on the line here.
I'll answer your question if you don't give me the pad.
Okay. You already have one, don't you?
No,
Oh.
it's okay.
It's a nice pad. Saying.
So interesting, I think my customers use the wrong words, which is really fascinating.
That is really fascinating and very common,
Yes.
but they're still their words, right? I still have to start where they are with their words. And this is, I'm just, before you say it, this is one of the problems I struggle with SEO, right? I have to create articles about the things that my customers are saying they think is wrong, not about what I'm talking about. Okay, so Mark, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think all my customers say they've identified to themselves, I have a pricing problem. They have no idea what their pricing problem is, and rarely is any pricing problem.
I have that problem too. People tell me all the time, I need training. My sales team needs to be trained. On what? You have no operating system, so there's nothing to train them on. So when they say I have a pricing problem, they're probably saying things like, I'm not sure if my pricing is right. I'm not sure how to price this.
Yeah, so once you're done in the organization, you'll hear words like that, but usually it's an executive somewhere that just says, we don't price well enough.
We don't price well enough. We're not pricing right.
Right.
Okay, so what is their problem really usually?
Well, there's a whole bunch of choices, but probably the number one problem is they don't understand the way their customers perceive the value of their products, which is an awful lot like what you're talking about today.
Okay, but nonetheless, if I'm writing my value proposition and I mark and I start with your customers perceiving value, my customer is going to turn off because that's not where they are. I have a pricing problem is where they are. I have a pricing problem. So I have to talk to them about how I solve that, not talk to them about what I want to do. Do you want to, hang on a second, do you want to tell me what your customers say?
Yeah, I don't know where to start.
Well, pick one.
No, that's what they say.
Oh, I don't know where to start. And you say to them, well, pick somewhere. I had the same conversation with my daughter yesterday, actually.
Yeah, being a financial advisor, people just don't know where to start.
They just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So when they walk in, they say, I don't know where to start. If they were looking up help online, what would they be looking for? What kinds of words? What articles would they want to read?
Probably when you get to that point, for people that have a little bit of direction for retirement planning, college funding, saving.
So their sentences often start with, I don't know how to pick a retirement plan. I don't know how I'm going to pay for my kids' college. I don't know how,
Yep.
right? This is the way they're talking about it. These are the words they're using. Okay, what have you got?
I was actually gonna just say the trick that we use for this is we talk with our customers and we say, hey, how do you explain this to a colleague? Because like you said, how we start talking about what we do, every time we ask someone that question, they say something, quick, easy, simple, and you just go, that's better than anything in our marketing material.
Right. And what happens is we get caught up in the industry lingo, right? This is the only word there is to describe it. It may be the only word you have to describe it, but it's not the word your customer's using if they don't know what it is, right? If I don't know what it is, I don't even know that I need retirement planning. I just know I don't know anything about managing my money. Then I'm not talking about retirement planning. So I have to be where they are. And I can't focus. We get really stuck in, well, that's the right word to describe this. Maybe the right word to describe it, but if your customer doesn't know, who cares? Right? It doesn't matter. It only matters how they talk about it. So we start creating our value proposition. We're going to start with, if you don't know how you're going to pay for your kids' college, that's how my value proposition is going to start. Got a pricing problem? Yeah.
So I love her example in the following sense that you articulated earlier, who's your ideal customer? And you could say my ideal customer is one who is trying to save money to go to college. Another one is, I'm trying to save money so that I can retire. And those are two very different mental states for people.
Yes.
And so if you want to attract someone, get your messages to resonate, you're talking to one of those two, not both of them.
Or you're talking to them separately.
Yeah.
So your website has two portals, right? One for, or two separate landing pages, one for I want to save money for college, and one for I need to figure out how I'm going to retire. But the point is being where they are at that point and not talking about, well, you wouldn't just start in and go, whoa, here's all, I sell retirement plans. Okay. So what? What does that mean for me? What's a retirement plan and why do I need one?
Or even worse, I help you manage your money.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Right? It doesn't resonate because it's not clear enough and it's not speaking to my ideal customer. You may have more than one ideal customer and that's okay. But just as Mark said, trying to speak to both of them at the same time is really hard. So maybe you need two different value propositions. Maybe you need two different landing pages. But you need to know who you're talking to before you start talking about your value proposition.
Yeah, and you can layer on the, why do they work with you? Ask your customers, why do you work with me? And then what you'll find out, there might be some themes that go across all of them.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, just that.
It's
Third one.
always a good idea to ask your existing customers their words. And so when I talk about sales and what I do when I help people with sales, I use three words: chaos, unmanageable, and unpredictable. When I talk to a founder of a company who has been selling for a time, not for a startup, but for a company that's been around for a while, those are the three words I hear over and over and over again. And if they don't say chaos to me and I say, is it kind of chaos? They're like, yes. Like you understand, that's how I feel. It's total chaos. right? But they need it to be manageable and predictable. So think about the words that they use. And like, what happens when you hit it on the head, when you actually understand what somebody wants or needs or is worried about or is feeling? When you get there, they're like, oh, can you do that for me? Can you help me figure out how I'm going to retire? Because I just don't know. I'm really worried about this. And when you say, I help people figure out how they're going to retire, that's the next step. My solution. This is how we think about our solution, right? All of the bits and parts and pieces and you know, the size and the price and all of the things, all the stats about my product. This is how we think about what we need to tell people. But we already know now, that's not what they want to know about. They want to know, how does your solution link to my problem? Just like I told you when I was trying to buy a webcam. I saw all those numbers. I went through charts and charts, but I couldn't link those pieces and parts to my problem. How does that solve my problem? And that's what we need to do. That's your job, to link your solution to their problem. So we start with their problem. And now I say, I solve that by, I solve this problem. I help people figure out how they're going to retire, or I help people retire, but maybe they need to just figure out how is what they need by doing something, providing something. And the words that we want to use when we're having this kind of conversation is, I help people accomplish this by providing resources that, by limiting mistakes, by eliminating errors or I don't know, eliminating whatever, by increasing productivity, by improving outcomes, whatever it is. These aren't the only words, but these are some words that you would use to start linking their problem and your solution. We solve your problem by doing this. And you could put the how we do it a little differently, right? If you do it the same way everybody else does, then say you know, all financial advisors do this. Fine, this is what financial advisors do. But if you have a whole new way of solving a problem, then say, I help people do this by introducing a brand new AI solution that does this. They probably don't care if it's AI though. We do, they don't. Okay, so words that help link. So here we go again. Can you explain how you solve a problem without talking about your product? So this is I solve this problem by. This is your job now. This is what I want you to do. This is the part that is about my solution in a way that my customer can hear it. Want me to tell you what mine is? Would that help? So I remove the chaos from sales by putting in a sales operating system that gives us visibility into our sales organization. Okay, so I solve this chaos problem by putting in something that gives us visibility, eliminates the chaos. Okay, so problem, solution. How do you solve it? Yeah.
So there's a third leg that I came across recently that we've added, which is even if. So what we say is we help you serve the many, not just the noisy, even if you don't have any staff handling communications. So the even if can help you really drill in even more to that particular ideal customer.
Yeah, and the ideal customer part comes next, but that's great. The even if is a great way to think about that. I hadn't thought of it that way.
It's a copywriting trick. That's where we found it.
There you go. Yeah, go ahead.
So I help companies win more business at higher prices by helping leaders create a culture of customer perceived value.
Okay, so my problem is I need to sell things at a higher price. The solution is
culture of customer perceived value.
Culture of customer perceived value. Let's try another one. Liz, your turn.
So my problem, my customers say is every great brand name is already taken. Every .com is taken. It's impossible.
They're all taken.
Brand name.
We had this conversation.
So my solution is always that by employing neology, which is the science of creating new words, we ensure that every single word that we suggest to you as a brand name, the .com is already available.
Okay, so how do I solve the problem of there not being .coms available? We use a science of namology
Neology. is like
Neology.
creating new words.
by creating new words. We're gonna, in other words, we'll help you create an appropriate new word for you that can be your .com and your business name. Simple. That's how we want to talk about it. Is this resonating?
All right, so mine is like, okay, I've got a product that can create a lifetime income. You can't outlive it. How would you do that?
I help you feel more comfortable about your retirement, or I help you figure out your retirement by introducing a program that gives you lifetime income,
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
right? So if I'm always going to get money, then I can retire. Okay, that makes sense. Now you can tell me the how to get there, but that comes after I go, okay,
gotcha.
that makes sense to me. How would you do that for me? How would you make that happen? How do I get paid into my retirement if I'm not working? You might use the word pays you. Instead of income, you might use pay.
Yeah. Nice,
Even once
okay,
you're
cool.
retired.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or even focus on what the retirement's gonna be like. Help you retire at a higher standard of living.
Yeah, but that's not what they're saying. I'm gonna stop
Okay.
you there because you're right, but that comes after. First is, in their words, if I'm not getting a paycheck, how do I retire? Well, the answer is I help you create a paycheck that will pay you through your retirement, right? So simple. What you just did was what we do, which is the fancy words for it. And we can
Only if they use them,
I know,
right? So yeah, it totally depends on the customer.
totally depends on the customer. So if they put their problem in those words, so tell me the words that you just said.
I just said, higher standard of living, or
Great.
my current standard.
I want to be sure that I retire at the same standard of living or a higher standard of living that I have right now. Then you respond to them, you mirror back to them, we help you maintain that's the standard of living that you have now by giving you a retirement solution that's going to pay dividends every month or whatever it is, right? So we have to use their words when we're doing it. So that's exactly right. Okay. The key is not talking about features, right? We tend to, when we start selling, really dig into features. And I want to back up on this for just a second because I have salespeople that then come to me and say, but my buyers want to talk about features. Okay, so let's back up and figure out which buyer wants to talk about features and at what point in the sales process do they want to talk about features. So if I'm just starting a conversation to get somebody's attention, we're talking about value proposition. You have this problem, here's how I solve it. Now, if they're way down the sales process, the buying process really, and they have done a lot of research, they know what their problem is, they have an idea about what the different solution options are. Now we're going to talk about, I just forgot what I was going to say. I know, now I want to talk about how I compare them. So I knew I needed a new webcam. I knew I wanted a Logitech. At some point I had to compare the options that I have. So now I want to know about the features of the different ones. So if I'm further along in the sales process, I may want more information about the details. Or if the other thing, and be careful about this, if you have a complex sale and you're selling to a big corporation, the person who's been sent out to do the research is not going to have a lot of authority in the decision, but they are going to have a lot of facts and details and want to compare facts and details. So just know who you're talking to at what point. Okay. So the next part of the value proposition, and tell me if I'm running out of time, how are we doing? Okay.
About 10 minutes.
Okay, so the next part of it is, this is your problem. This is how I solve it. This is why I'm the best solution for my ideal customer. So I have to know who my ideal customer is. And I have to know that my product is particularly designed for them in order to be able to have this conversation. So why is it the best solution for my customer? Things you could think about when you're trying to figure out how do you say this. You might want to start by thinking a little bit about who's your competition. Now, I have startup founders tell me all the time, I have no competition. Maggie, have you ever heard that?
Never.
I have no competition. Nobody does what I do the way I do it. Okay, fine, but that doesn't mean you don't have competition. So the first thing we want to think about is in the customer's mind, what is my competition? Because that will help me to think about what I need to talk about and even maybe how I need to talk about it. You may have a direct competitor who's a very similar product that they're deciding between. And if that's the way you need to talk to people, then you need to be aware of that. Maybe you have some kind of a similar solution, like Maggie and I were just talking about the difference between the CRM and a task manager. So somebody may think that they can manage their sales activities in a task manager. Okay, maybe you can. If they think that's the solution to the problem, then that's fine. That's what I need to talk to them about because that's where their head is. They're thinking about using, for many years, we used spreadsheets to do everything because there was no other solution. So that was their solution. And even still, I have a lot of clients that manage their sales on a spreadsheet. So now if I'm selling a CRM, I need to know they're comparing me to a spreadsheet or pieces of paper, Post-it notes all over, something. Using the budget for something else. I said cybersecurity, but the competition may be we have this problem and we have this problem. And so you need to talk to them about why solving this problem is so important and what it will mean to them. Or do nothing. For most enterprise sales lose to do nothing. I'm just not going to deal with that problem this year. It's too complicated. It's too much trouble. It's too much money. I'm going to do this. We'll use the funds for something else, but we're going to just wait on that. That is one of the biggest reasons that people lose is it's so complicated. The buyers can't do it. They can't figure out how to do it. If I'm going to lose to do nothing, then when I'm talking to my customer about why I'm the best solution for them, then I'm the best solution because if you just keep using a spreadsheet the way you have been, here's what you're losing. Here's the cost of it. Here's the whatever. So knowing where you're positioned in the marketplace, this is what competition's about, will impact what you say and how you say it. Does that make sense? Are you guys all with me on that? So let's think about where the best for you because, your problem in your words, my solution linked to your problem, and then we're the best solution for our ideal customer because. So I want to do again with you guys, why are you the best solution for your ideal customer? So you've picked an ideal customer because you think they're most likely to buy from you. You think that they have a problem that you can solve. So let's talk about, I could go to any financial advisor. I could buy 1 million different products. Why this? Why you? Why this product? Why is this the best for your ideal customer?
So my answer to that would be because, first of all, I'm independent, so I have to sell whatever the big box wants to sell. I use a whiteboard, so I explain the concepts. People can be very involved and engaged in the decision-making process.
So those are your features and benefits, but the reason you're the best solution for your ideal customer is because you're going to take the time to really understand their situation and find the best solution for them.
Yes.
And the part about you can then say, if you want to, or imply that, people who are part of other organizations may have specific products that they have to sell. I do not. I can sell you the best product for you. Right? So now I'm in their space. Okay, good. Someone's going to actually listen to me. Because that's what I hear. I don't know how to do this. I don't even know how to ask. I don't know where to start. I'm coming to you because I want you to help me. And what we often get instead, what you're saying is somebody who just picked from this list, whether it fits you or not. Okay, that's why you're the best solution for your ideal customer, who is somebody who is actually, this might go into your customer profile, ideal customer profile, is somebody who wants help figuring it out. You don't really, people who have a pretty good idea of what they want are just going to go buy it or going to go to somebody who can help them buy it. Your ideal customer is looking for an understanding of the situation and what solutions are out there and help making a decision.
Yeah.
It's like I've been talking to different attorneys about my trademark and my copyright, and I keep getting these very distant answers, which is what you often get from attorneys. And I'm like, I really need somebody to tell me what my options are and help me decide. I don't want you to just tell me what my options are. I want you to help me understand which is the best option for me. Link my problem to the solution. Don't make me figure out which thing I need to do. Help me figure it out. Right? And that's what you're doing. And that's what we're doing. So let's try another one. Why are you the best solution for your customer? Okay, Liz.
Oh, thanks, Aggie. So we keep on the same example. It's because I work with a team across at least 40 different countries, so they can get a broader view and a different view instead of looking at the same problem in the same way, and therefore coming up with the same old names as everybody else.
So I'm the best solution for you, because if you are really common, like you're a financial advisor and there's a gazillion financial advisors in the world, and you need to come up with a name, we need as broad experience and perspective as possible to come up with a really good name. Did I get that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why are you the best solution for your ideal customer? Yeah, Mark.
Because I help you solve an immediate problem while upscaling the skills of your team.
Okay, so I'm going to help you solve the problem right now. And then we're going to make sure that your team is positioned to be successful doing this, right? So why am I the best solution for you? Well, my ideal customer is somebody who identifies that they have a problem and they want to do something about it now. And they'd like it to be sustainable in the future. Then that's what I do, right? Now, if they just wanted somebody to go do it for them, Mark, go make this happen. Wave your magic wand and make this happen. They're not your ideal customer, so your message isn't going to resonate with them. You're not going to be the right solution.
They would hire a consultant.
And so I just had a conversation with a prospect this morning who said, hey, these are all the things I want done. And I said, and these are the things that I do, and these are the things I would bring partners in to do, because I don't do that part. Like, okay, so we want to be really clear. He's still my ideal customer, but he has more things than I do. That's okay too. Okay, so why are you the best solution for your ideal customer? Any other thoughts on that? All right, I'm going to move on because we're going to put it all together. What do you think of that, Mark? This is playing with my logo. Okay, so putting it all together, how do we take all these disparate pieces that I just shared with you and we just worked on and put it together into a value proposition? I'm going to give you some examples. None of these are fabulous, but they'll give you an idea. I did not do what Liz does, which is really work on the language, but these are all my past clients. So are you losing too many leads from the website? We help you convert by creating a chat experience that engages and tracks customers when they're interested. So, I think I re-edited it. Let's see. We help you convert by creating a chat experience that engages and tracks customers when they're interested, period. We offer affordable solutions for small companies. I think that was supposed to say so you can convert. Got lost a word there. Right? Why are we the best solution? We offer affordable solutions for small companies. So if you're looking at a chatbot for your website, there are very, very expensive chatbots. It costs a lot of money to engage. And then they're saying, we're not an enterprise chatbot. We want to work with small companies and we're affordable for you. Okay, so I'm losing, people go to my website and disappear. I have a solution that helps you engage them and track them so you can convert them. And the reason I'm the best for you, there's lots of companies that do this, but we have an affordable price for small businesses. This is kind of what I do, right? So is your sales organization chaos? We help growing companies put processes in place. You have manageable sales organization with predictable revenue. So why I'm the best is because I work specifically with growing companies to put process in place. And is it impossible to get your team together to interview candidates? We provide an online interviewing tool that enables everyone to participate when they are available. Universities are using our product and filling vacancies 3 times as fast as they could before. If you're my ideal customer, you're a university, and you need to fill a lot of positions, this is why I'm the best solution for you. So again, these are not written brilliantly. I just kind of threw them together for you. But that's what we need to do is we need to say, here's your problem. Your problem is your problem is you work for HR, and no matter what you do, you can't get everybody to the meetings. You can't get them together for the meetings to interview these people. Okay, so you have professors that are scheduled for classes from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., all different schedules. So we make it so they can participate when they're available. So it's an asynchronous process, right? But I'm not going to write it's an asynchronous process because that's not going to mean anything to them. I'm going to say people can do it on their own time, and that we work with universities to help them fill positions. Yeah.
So I noticed on this one, this is a really neat one because it fits the startup 3 lines, which is product, solution, traction. You haven't had traction in there before. You want to talk about that a little bit? The proof, right? The credibility.
Yeah, and yes and no. It isn't always appropriate. So if you have clients that have made $3 million and you're talking to a client that can only make 50,000, that's not an appropriate thing to say, right? So we want to really think about, when does the proof matter in the conversation? Is this person at a point where they're ready to hear about? So another way let me put it another way. Sometimes when people are doing like cold calling or their emails or whatever, they'll say, we've delivered this result for companies like this. So that is another way to do it. We've delivered this result, that's the traction. For companies like this, we can do the same thing for you. So that's another way to think about this. It's just a different approach to it. So you can put the traction in there if you feel like it's appropriate. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. For me, it's really hard. I can say how many companies have done it before. I can say I took one company from 1 million to 10 million in 1 year, but that doesn't mean I can make you go from 1 million to 10 million in a year. And Mark probably has more experience in when to use it and when not to. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. And it really depends on who you're talking to. Mark, I love your input on this. I put him on the spot.
Yeah. I think it's possible, probably mostly possible to write a result that is not quantitative, in which case you can make it kind of generic. So you look at the universities are filling vacancies 3 times faster. So huge university, small university, still 3 times faster. You can get away with that. So it matters on if you write it specifically or generically.
It's also an opportunity to drill down into that, like, oh my gosh, they're talking to me. Yeah. So for example, if I'm a small, liberal arts university with under 1,000 students or something, and this happens to be a solution that really nails that, having something, we've helped small universities do blank.
Right. And sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. So if
Yeah.
I say I can 10 times your growth and you don't want 10 times growth, is that going to appeal to you? What if you're looking at 100 times growth? It's a little bit of a struggle there, but sometimes it's fine. Maggie, what are you telling me?
Oh, I was just suspecting that Kevin was citing kind of the startup formula, talking to investors.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting about this, because this was the first time I saw the traction in there. So I was,
It can definitely be in there. I guess it doesn't have to be in there.
right, sure. Of course.
And so, but if I'm talking to a university, that made, I don't know, that was just when we talked about it, that was the way he framed it, and I thought that was great, so.
When I drilled down into this, I came up that statistics always outsell what I call genericide. So these blanket statements to me are just worthless. We work with Fortune 500 countries. You know, every time I read that, I'm like, you do not. You know, like, oh, our associates, you do not have any associates. You know, and I guess I'm a little bit of a cynic. I am. So for me, I would say, you know, specifics are terrific. So for me, I would rather always see some numbers, some data, some logos to really prove to me that you do what you say you do and you deliver what you said you would.
So when I'm talking about my product, I don't. And I don't do it for a lot of reasons, because all of my customers are in different places with completely different sets of goals. And what their real concern is, how am I going to grow? And how am I going to get rid of this chaos? How am I going to manage this? How, if I have investors, how am I going to have predictable income that I can share with my investors? So I'm going to talk to them about their pain more than the statistics. But if they want statistics, I can give it to them. You know, I can, I often don't. And it often, I will tell you, my customers almost never ask. So it really is important to know who you're talking to and what matters to them. Now, if you're writing it down in the world and people are going to read it, it might be more important to have the statistics and the proof there. If you're having a conversation, it may not be as important, you know, particularly if you're selling you, when a lot of times what I'm selling is me, right? And they're having a conversation with me and I'm telling them how I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And that's enough for that kind of a purchase. Now, if I were starting to sell it out in the universe so that I was not just getting referrals and talking to people I knew and growing the business kind of organically, then I would start thinking about if I'm putting messaging on my website that is about results, if I'm sending out cold emails, if I've got people cold calling for me, I'm going to have to really focus on results that are tangible for people to respond probably. Although I don't know a CEO who has chaos in their sales organization that won't respond to that word. Haven't met one yet. So
50% less chaos, come on.
50%, and I can measure that.
Exactly.
All right, so I think that's what I had. Did we do, you guys didn't do your whole value proposition, did you? Anybody want to try? I also have stickers. Anybody want to try a full-on value proposition? And I don't care. There's no magic formula for any of this, right? So, you know, as you could see from the way I wrote those, they weren't exactly the same way, but basically the customer's problem, how I solve it, why I'm the best solution for my ideal customer. Anybody willing to try one? You've already done it. Say yours, because you already said it earlier.
Mine?
Yeah, you included the why you're the best solution for your ideal customer.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ones, but basically, you know, we help you, I said, we help you serve the many, not just the noisy, even if you don't have staff to handle it. But the problem more broadly, it's, you know, I was going to do the startup version. It's basically local governments get misled and manipulated by a noisy few in their community, which costs millions of dollars in mistakes. Flash votes is the only solution that gives them statistically representative data on time frame for decision making, and you know, that's kind of also why it's the best. Only is interesting, but it's, and what are your thoughts on only versus, because only may not be credible or they may not appreciate it yet, versus sort of 90% faster or cheaper, which only if they care about those things is that interesting, right?
That's right. And that is the hardest problem with a value proposition is I can try, I can throw my value proposition out, but until I understand you and what matters to you and how you talk about your problem, I can't really deliver a value proposition. I can only guess that typically CEOs of companies like this talk about their problem like this and need this solution in this way. That's, I can formulate something, but as a salesperson, when I get into that part where I'm actually selling, That's when I'm going to really narrow it down and hone it into the things that you told me that are important. I'm only going to talk to you about the part that matters to you. I'm not going to tell you about all of the other stuff. Right? I'm not going to tell you what the angles are because I don't even know what the angles do for me. So don't tell me that. Just tell me which one is going to work well when I have to be on videotape for a podcast or webinar. That's what I really need. So if I'm putting my problem to you that way, then only link with me the things that are going to matter to me. Yeah.
So what you just said surprised me a little bit in the sense that I think of a value proposition, a company or a product could have a value proposition.
Right.
That's what I put on my webpage and everybody sees the same one. But now I'm a salesperson talking to a client, that value proposition, I almost think of as a high level, yes, you probably fit in this umbrella, but now let's focus in on your specific.
Right. Right. So, and all I meant by it is that you'll never know exactly until you dig in and have that conversation. But at some point, you have to make a guess based on the data that you have about CEOs in these kinds of companies in this situation, or HR people in this situation, in these kinds of companies. What are they talking about as a role? What problem are they trying to solve? How do they talk about it? And then I can reach out to them. So we start at a really broad level and then we narrow it when we're selling.
So how long has your company been running now? And how many times have you changed your value proposition?
My company's been running for a year and I've probably revised it 4 times, but I have several also. So it's an evolution. It's like anything else in your company. When people say, I don't want to build a strategy because then I'm stuck with this thing that is going to force me to, no, nor is your value proposition. You're going to write a value proposition, then you're going to realize, oh, that didn't really resonate the way I thought it would with these kinds of people. When I'm talking to these kinds of people, I need to do it a little differently. Or when I'm writing to these kinds of people, I need, it's going to change and you're going to get better at it. And it's like everything else in your business. If it isn't evolving, it's not going to work. Eventually it's going to fail. Whatever, we used to start when I was teaching Miller Heiman, we always started with whatever it is that got you where you are today is not sufficient to keep you there. The value proposition I'm using today may not even apply in a year. The value proposition I was using before COVID might not be relevant in COVID. And my mid-COVID may not be relevant in 2 years. Or if the economy crashes, or if heaven knows, whatever it is, your value proposition changes. If the world wasn't thinking about cybersecurity 3 years ago very much, and now all of a sudden company owners are really thinking about cybersecurity, how does that impact what I'm doing? How does that impact what I'm saying? Maybe if I was selling cybersecurity before, I had to convince them that this was a problem they needed to solve. Now my value proposition is about helping them solve a problem they know exists and they don't know how to fix, or if there's even a way to fix it. So my value proposition changes. As the people around me change, as the situation changes, as who it is that I'm deciding to focus on changes, these all impact the value proposition. And a company or a product can have a value proposition, but I often create, if I have a big company that has multiple kinds of buyers, I might create a different value proposition for each of those different kinds of buyers. Because if I'm selling into a hospital, the technician versus the doctor versus the CFO versus now the IT person who's involved in every decision, whether it's technical or not, versus the head of the purchasing department for the entire hospital system. Each one of them has a completely different relationship to the problem. So if I think my same value proposition is going to work with a technician as works with a CFO, I'm probably wrong. Right? So guideposts, this is a beginning. This is a guide. This is a way to think about talking to people about what matters to them and getting them to say what?
Yes.
Can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? Okay, so that's all I've got. Oh, no, I didn't let you give your value propositions, did I? Does anybody want to? Yeah.
All right, so I take the time to understand your financial needs and help you to find the best solutions and walk you through the steps to implement them.
Okay, you forgot the first part though. So if you're worried about how you're going to retire,
Okay.
then those other things.
So then you can't really put it on a website, can you?
Sure. Are you worried?
No, because I do all these different areas, so.
Have 3 different quotes. When I was just looking at the Logitech website, it had this one and this one and this one. So you have
Okay,
3 different
okay.
ones.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Your overarching story is, I listen to you, I understand you, and I help you find the solution that's best for you. But you can apply that in 3 different ways.
gotcha. Okay, cool.
So sorry for jumping in here.
Yeah, you jump right in.
Part of the problem with having so many different things that you do
Mhm.
is pretend that you're gonna spend money on Facebook to find customers.
Right.
So the only thing you can say is, do you need a money manager in Reno?
That's so vague.
Right? But instead, if you said, look, all I do is focus on helping people get their kids through college, right? Now you've got a message and that might resonate with me on Facebook and I might go to your webpage. And now I show up on your webpage and it isn't, oh, you're a money manager. You're a person who helps people get their kids through college. Right? And that resonates with me a whole lot more than a money manager. Because there's 7,000 money managers in Reno.
But then how do you stop the confusion from people going, oh, gee, I think you just did college planning?
Well, so there are many ways to do it. One is you can decide you're just going to help people get money for college. The other is you can say, I have these 3 products, these 3 things that I sell. And so when you do a Facebook campaign, let's say you do a Facebook campaign, then you're talking to those people, you take them to your landing page that's just about that. And then at some point they can see the broader website if they want to. But you have to carry them down that messaging stream the whole way.
So then probably for me, the best thing for me to start off with the 401k rollovers. And just.
I don't know, is that what they say? I don't know what to do with my 401k rollover. If that's what they say, then yeah.
So what you just said, though, is something that I hear all the time from consultants or anybody. That is, but what about this other market segment?
You have to.
What about this other market segment? Well, if I only do that, then I can't sell to these guys. And the problem is if you sell to everybody,
You're selling to no one.
nobody. So there's going to be someone out there that says, I specialize in helping people send their kids through college.
Mhm.
And if I have kids to send through college, that's the person I'm looking for. I'm not looking for someone who does everything, but also helps me send my kids through college.
Yeah.
So if you can find a segment that's big enough to pay your bills and focus really hard on that and build a brand and build a reputation, that wins, and then you can expand.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
You gotta be special. Yeah. It's like if a realtor says, hey, I work in Reno versus I'm a specialist in properties in Curdy Ranch or something.
Well, and I had somebody who I was helping with his messaging and what we came up with is what he really loves to do is help families with young kids find the right place for them and their kids. He doesn't just sell houses. He helps family find the right place for their home. You know, I have another friend that she's really good at fixer-uppers. She's great at that. She has the vision. She walks in and she can see what you could do with it. So that's what she's going to market. Now, that doesn't mean that she's not a general realtor and there's the difference between what comes to me and I'll take versus the messaging that I'm going to put out into the world to bring to me.
Gotcha.
And I'll still say you can have more than one message. I have 2 market segments that I focus on: funded startups and companies that have been around for some of them 30 years. And something dramatic has changed. They've got investors, they've been purchased, grandpa died and they're going to redo the whole business. Something happened. And they now need to start from scratch and build their sales organizations. So they're 2 really different sets of messaging. Even though it's the same exact thing, do the same exact thing, they see it differently. Right? So you can have 2 messages, but then you have to think about where are those messages? How are you putting them out there? How are you going to eliminate confusion? So if they do go all the way down this path with you and then get back to your main page and see, oh, I do this and this too, that's great. But if you have just a generic financial advisor page, then once they get there, you're just a generic financial advisor. Yeah.
You can do anything you want, Liz.
Thank you.
I stopped going to places that sell sushi and tacos.
Right. It doesn't make sense to me to buy sushi and tacos.
That's exactly right. Like, it's actually a signal that they're probably not good at either.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Example.
perfectly true. So the more you can specialize, the better, because the more clear your messaging is, the better it resonates with the people who need to hear it. The broader it is, the harder it is for me to see you talking to users. And this is a problem I talk to every founder about. And I use another example, like they'll tell, everybody who has a computer could use this. Sure, probably could, but you're not going to sell to every single person that has a computer. It's kind of like saying, I sell motorcycles. Anybody who wants to ride a motorcycle can buy a motorcycle from me. And I actually have a slide that I use sometimes that has, I sell Honda race bikes. And then I flip up a picture of what I call a Harley dude. I don't know what the right word is, but you know, these guys that their Harley is more than a brand. It's their persona. You're gonna sell him a Honda race bike? Good luck, because it isn't gonna happen. I'm not on God's green earth. It is never gonna happen. He might buy one for his kid, but he's not gonna buy it. So when we think about, I'm a financial advisor, I could sell to anybody. Sure you can. Sure you can. You can sell to anybody. Who do you want to sell to? Who's going to be easy? Who's going to work well with you? What are the customers that you want? Like I have certain things. When I talk to a customer and I'm going through my qualifying process, if they are not ready to make changes and I can hear that, I qualify them out right away. Because my ideal customer is ready to make changes and implement technology and implement management structures that are going to make things work for them. If I'm talking to them and they're fighting that tooth and nail, I know that's never going to work. They're not part of I can do it. I can take the business, but I can be miserable and they can be miserable. So, okay, that's all I've got. And if you want to reach me, you can reach me, LinkedIn, Twitter. My phone number is right there, 808-960-7353. You can email me, liz@regarding-sales.com. And if I know you and we haven't talked in a long time, you should probably reach out so we can chat. So that's all I've got, unless you guys have any more questions.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz.
Excellent.
No questions? Okay. All right, thank you, Liz. So next month we have another Lunch and Learn from Mark Sivey.
Am I?
Are you? You're on the
You
schedule.
took the schedule and I would put him in there so that I would follow up.
Oh,
Congratulations, you're on this.
guys, on March 9th, it's a Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's about pricing, but I don't know what kind of pricing, so that sounds fun.
It will be a fabulous follow-up to what we did today.
Yeah.
That's so
And
funny.
tacos and make.
There's sushi and tacos, yeah. So feel free to join us. You can find more information in the emails that you get sent. And thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.